Let's get this party started.
Okay, we're now live.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'd like to call the meeting of January 25th, 2021 to order. You have before you a copy of tonight's agenda. There is an addition to the agenda under 7H, an excused absence for Councillor Chambers. She is stuck working, but she will be here as soon as she can be, but just in case, we are going to do an excused absence. So I'm looking for a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Councillor Dufert, seconded by Councillor Willows. Any questions? All in favor? Thank you. Motion's carried. Item number 3, any declarations of interest? None being noted. We'll move on to item number 4, announcements, awards, ceremonies, and presentations. Anything from council? Go ahead, Councillor Willows.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to take a few moments to recognize some of the staff from the Hay River Health and Social Services Agency who have been distributing vaccines both here in Hay River and in the South Slave. Just for the record and for the minutes, nursing staff, Shannon Sanguis, Julie Malenfant, Iris Blake, Lori Snow, Lori Steinwand, Angela King, Karen Rowe, and Audley Henry, logisticians, Emily Chambers, Jordan Bassett, Alex Moulton, Paula Gore, and Michelle Schwab. As of the end of last week, we have put out 56 vaccines in Kakisa, 113 vaccines in Fort Providence, 241 vaccines in Fort Resolution, 56 vaccines in Enterprise, 107 in Katladiche, and 656 in Hay River for the week of January 18th to 22nd. So as you can see, our staff has been very busy, and I know from the feedback that I'm getting, certainly the clients that are going in are more than happy to be there to get their vaccine, and so thankful for it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Willows. Yes, definitely. Thank you them for all their hard work and onward and upward. So any other announcements, awards, ceremonies? Anything from council? Anything from administration?
Nothing from administration.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 5, adoption of the minutes for the regular meeting of council dated January 11th, 2021. Looking for a motion. Councillor Dufert, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bouchard. Any questions to the minutes? Nothing coming out of them. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 6, administrative inquiries, and I will pass this over to SAO Smith. Thanks.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to start with the Director of Finance.
Thank you, Your Worship. No significant updates this evening from finance. Staff are very busy working towards our year end. Today was the deadline for the appeals relating to the 2020 assessment, which will go to the Board of Revisions once we have that assembled. So we'll bring forward a motion to name those who will serve on the board in the not too distant future. Lastly, MACA has reached out to communities for feedback on PATA, the Property Taxation Assessment Act. There's several areas that administration feels reform would be of value for Hay River. So we're hoping that this review will be productive. That's it from finance. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for our Director of Finance? None noted. Back to SAO Smith.
Thank you, Worship. Report, an update from the Director of Protective Services, please.
Thank you, Worship. Not too much new from our end, aside from the fact that we've been extremely busy on the medical side of things. Already this month, we've done 60 calls, which is the most I've ever seen. The highest I've seen in the past 5 years is 40 in 1 month. And we're at the 25th of January, and we're already at 60 ambulance calls. And just for council's information, 82% of those calls are after hours and on weekends. So the guys are really stepping up the plate and doing an awesome job as far as that's concerned. And this week, my focus mostly on doing inspections on daycares, day homes, and that kind of stuff. And that's about all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for our Director of Protective Services? None being noted, I'll pass it back to S.O. Smith.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Director of Recreation and Community Services.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening, everyone. Operations continue to go well at the community center. We did have some issues with ice maintenance. Some were related to our ice plant, which had issues again with a sensor. Those have been addressed, and small problems with the ice resurfacer, and those have also been addressed. Currently going with temporary fixes, but we've contacted area experts for some more long-term servicing and maintenance on both issues. Our outdoor rinks were in great condition. Well, they are in great condition. The warm weather we had in past weeks allowed us to do more maintenance than has been done in past years. A lot of people were using them, and they were, like I said, they were in great condition. It was great to see. Maintenance will be diminished with the cold weather in the coming days, and we're hoping for warm weather so we can get back out there and people can make good use of our outdoor rinks. On the programming side, Ken, we're happy to see that registrations and attendance are very good for most of the town delivered programs, and for the partnerships we have with local fitness contractors and volunteers who provide classes like our yoga classes. In the aquatic center, the family, the lane, and the adult swim times are very well attended. The bookings continue to go well, and we're very happy with those numbers. Youth swim times are a little hit and miss, and we're exploring ways to try to increase those numbers. One of the ways would be to try to offer some form of after-school program at the aquatic center and allow parents to register their kids for regular swim times rather than having to book week by week, and try to allow them to register for a longer period of time. And so they know they have that option, and they know that they can send their kids for some form of after-school program at the aquatic center. Similarly, we're exploring options for the teen swim times, which aren't so well attended. We do need to be sure we're compliant with COVID regulations. But we are exploring options, and we're also exploring the option of themed swims in the evenings to try to attract more swimmers for those youth and teen swim times. Fitness classes, registrations, and attendance are meeting the minimum requirements and often surpassing them. Happy to say that spin classes are very well attended, and we even had to turn away a couple people last week because the classes were full, and that's the first time we've had to turn people away because we just didn't have enough bikes for people. So the only fitness class that's not so well attended right now is boxing, and we're exploring either ways to improve that or a bit of variety. See if we can get more interest, or we'll change that up and offer some different programs. As I said, with operations and programming going so well, we've been able to action some of our capital plan items. We had 2 tenders close on Friday, one of them for conversion of our main pumps in the aquatic center, conversion to variable flow drive for energy savings. And also we had a second tender for the conversion of lighting in the main lobby and on the exterior lighting of the Aquatic Center, conversion to LED lighting again for energy savings. And those were partially funded by Arctic Energy Alliance funding. We will be putting out an RFP for security camera project for the recreation center. Again, that's part of our capital plan, and that RFP should be going out in the next week or two. We are also receiving quotes, and we'll proceed with the purchase of fitness equipment for the multipurpose room. Again, that's part of the capital plan. And we're looking at year one, approximately $40,000 of fitness equipment for that room there. We also, our tourism and economic development officer is actioning items on the tourism development plan and on the tourism marketing plan. We're reviewing the 2020 items to be sure that we've met or that we're actioning items from 2020, and we're also updating our 2021 action items, and updates will be provided to council in the January report. Those are my updates for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any questions for our Director of Recreation? None being noted, I'll pass it back to SAO Smith.
Thank you, Your Worship, the Director of Public Works and Services.
Thank you, Your Worship. On the public works side of things this week, our guys are working on snow removal this week. We had originally intended to do it last week, but ran into a significant water break on gates last week, which pushed the snow removal back to this week. I can say that that water break has been repaired. Everything's back to normal and flowing properly there, which is good. Last week, I had a meeting with ENR regarding our tire options and some of the options that we have with the ISIP funding that we have for that. So I did receive more information from them just recently. So we'll be reviewing that and coming up with a plan for moving forward with the removal of the tires. Few zoning issues that we've been working through. A few of them are on the agenda for later this meeting. Along those lines, we also had a development appeal board meeting last week. And our water license has been approved, so it has been signed off by the minister. It will come into effect on January 31st, and I will have a information report for council at a later meeting, just detailing kind of any differences between the old license and the new license, and just a few of the things that we're going to need to do moving forward with that. And other than that, just working on design and preparation for 2021 capital projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Director of Public Works. Any questions for our Director? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, just the water license, how long is that good for?
Director?
Thank you, Your Worship. It is good for 10 years. So it's a 10-year license, so it'll be until 2031.
Good.
Thank you. That's good to know. Any further questions for our Director of Public Works? Did you have a question, Councillor Dufert? Oh, okay. Back to SAO Smith.
Thank you, Worship. And on that update on the water license renewal, just certainly want to recognize and Director of Public Works and Services and his team for getting that activity completed. Long process, and fingers crossed we shouldn't have to do one for 10 years.
Yeah.
A few things from me over the last couple of weeks, as we're all aware, we had some information pertaining to COVID traces in our wastewater and connections into the Port Liard case. So been monitoring and having discussions with MACA and the Office of the Chief Public Health Officer, excuse me, through that, just to evaluate our risks. and any mitigation that may be needed for the town. It sounds like today, it reported in at least the media that there was indications that our wastewater sampling is is no longer showing traces of COVID, so that's good news. A couple points on the recruitment front. We are planning to get out our advertisement for our Director of Protective Services and Fire Chief this week, by the end of this week. Just going through some job description updating and checks there. And also for Public Works and Services, we have been conducting some foreman interviews over the last week. Related to development, so the Development Appeal Board was formed and approved by Council at the last meeting. They've had 2 meetings since then. One was an orientation and election of the chair, and the chair is Peter Mahar. There was a hearing last week on an appeal of the denial of the development permit for the office space at the Homesteaders. So an official decision needs to be submitted by the Development Appeal Board within 60 days from that meeting. Expecting that we should have a response prior to that. And I believe that information gets reported to Council. We've been doing some work with Fraser Place. There's a report in front of you today. Happy to announce that. But also, we've been doing some project management coordination and also working on clarifications. This is through MACA on our process for updating the community plan, which is tied to a couple of our rezoning updates, not Fraser Place, but a couple other ones. So just working with MACA closely on that. As we know, it took some considerable time to do a major update to get that approved through the consultation engagement processes. So we want to make sure these fairly minor changes are updated, are made efficiently through ourselves and MACA. On the bylaw front, we've continued to update some bylaws that have been identified through our policy and bylaw committee. We've got 2 now with our legal support for the fees and charges bylaw and the traffic control. So hopefully we'll have that probably next month in front of Council. There's been some work on flood mitigation in terms of application for funding through support for MACA or with MACA. There's a National Disaster Mitigation Program. And through it, some of the streams available, there's nothing that's related to really infrastructure construction, but we are looking at one of the streams for the creation of our flood mitigation plan that could stem for a few years and really set the pattern for what activities we should be completing, and that would be based heavily on some past studies that have been completed, but also general consultation. The Director of Recreation and Community Services and I have met with infrastructure this last week, and to talk about some of our summer cap funding opportunities. We presented ideas related to Port Landing, golf course improvements, Vale Island multi-use park, all projects that are identified in our capital plan and other documents. I also had a meeting with the Deputy Minister of MACA late last week. We discussed a few topics. One of them was relating to the wastewater sampling that's occurring in our community on one of our lift stations, and our roles and responsibilities there to ensure that both sides, or all parties, I guess, are clear on what the expectations are there and what we can deliver. So that went well. Continued some conversation on landfill fire cost recovery, and specific to the water sampling type expenses that were occurred, but also really, looking forward towards what the future might look like if there is scenarios for the town where we might be dealt with a similar situation, how those costs would be handled and responsibilities. We also had a brief conversation on our debt capacity modeling. It's important that we understand that and get an agreement between ourselves and MACA as we look at some of our land development plans more completely. And also had a meeting with some personnel from Canor with respect to expression of interest call that the Director of Recreation and Community Services is working on in his department. Hopefully, we were looking for support on some existing projects, and so we were just vetting them to get some feedback on those. Also, I don't think it was mentioned, in case it wasn't, though I'll bring it up anyway, that we did get our expected, we executed our expected amendment to the CPI contribution agreement with MACA, and that was for an additional $320,000. And that's all I have for you today.
Thank you. Any questions from council for our Senior Administrative Officer? Go ahead, Councillor Anderson.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Just getting back to emergency services, I'm just wondering, with the large increase in calls, what is what are the areas that we're getting calls in? Is it if we can get a bit of a breakdown on that or a bit of a synopsis on that, please? Thank you.
SAO Smith.
Thank you, Worship. We have been looking at that recently, and some information is being communicated. Certainly, the increases, as I understand it, seem to be from the number of calls associated with some of our homeless population. That's been, something that we've been working with other departments on, but it is seeing some stress to our responders, I guess. Director of Protective Services, do you have anything else to add to that?
Actually, for January, the increase in calls is all over the place. We picked up on medevacs. We've also picked up on just general calls for, I would say, drug and alcohol abuse, that type of thing. And actually the problems, or not problems, I guess the amount of calls that we've had for the homeless people have dropped off for this month, but we're keeping busy with just general business at this point in time. Thanks.
Thank you. I can also comment on that. I have written a letter to both the Minister of Health and the Minister of Homelessness requesting a meeting in regards to same. I have heard back from one and who is willing to meet and waiting on a response from the other. So we're on the issue and looking for solutions, long-term solutions, not just short-term with the COVID. So yeah, absolutely. There will be a meeting, and I know that you were all copied on that letter. So I will be updating as things proceed there. Any other questions for our SAO? Okay, none being noted, we'll move on to item number 7, new business. 7A is Fraser Place Rezone Report. Looking for a motion? Councillor Dowie, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Worship. I'll move the recommendation that the Council of Town of Hay River approve the Town of Hay River's application for amendment to the land use bylaw 1812 to rezone lot 1021, plan 830 from I institutional to R1B single family residential class B. Further to that, or do you want to do this all as one, or how do you want to do it, Your Worship? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, all as one.
Okay. Further to that, 2 small pieces of lot 1021, plan 830, one on the north and one on the southwest corner from I institutional to P parks and open spaces. Also 2 small pieces on the east side of lot 1021 identified as lot 2031, plan 4393 from P parks and open spaces to R1B single family residential class B, subject to the following conditions: A, that all requirements of the zoning and building bylaw are met; B, an amendment to the zoning bylaw is met.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder, Deputy Mayor Bouchard. Okay, questions? Comments? Go ahead, Councillor Willows.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My only question is, can we zoom out this report to council? I can barely see it.
Oh, you need it bigger? Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any questions or comments to the motion? None being noted. All in favor? Oh, okay. Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Maybe if you could just walk, if administration could walk us through the steps, like this is the first step, obviously, but maybe the steps and procedures that go from this point forward. There's a second reading and then a public meeting, or just maybe go through that.
Yeah, you betcha. SEO Smith?
Thank you, Worship. So as it stands right now, what's in front of you is a rezoning bylaw, right? So we'll be going through the 3 typical readings and the public consultation in between. There is no requirement to go to the community plan has already been updated to reflect these changes, so there won't be that bylaw change and the minister approval that's associated with it. On the bottom of the end of the report there, we kind of summarize quickly what some of the next major steps as we see it towards getting into construction. We'd like to come back hopefully by end of February, but in Q1. We'd like to take, before we go too much further with the readings and going into public hearing, we'd like to come back with a bit of a finance and sales presentation to council, just to give a more complete understanding of where and how, or what the costs are looking like, how we're financing. Some of this information is in the capital plan, but a bit more detailed in terms of what this is going to cost and some indication of what the market is suggesting and how we can break this down through sales, debt, tax recovery, etc. So that would be into Q1. Once we have that information in front of council and they're happy with it, we suggest that we would go to public hearing, and that would include the rezoning activities, but also a presentation on the design, on the preliminary design. Probably include the information as well that has been submitted to council on the financing and sales plan. So that presentation and consultation would occur pending the information that comes out of that and indication from council that they're comfortable with moving forward with a detailed design where we would be incurring almost a go, no go towards that spend. Outside of that, once you have once we have our design documents together, we would go through the process of tendering, testing the market to understand to get a firm indication of what the development costs will be. If that's in alignment with budget and what's been approved by council, we would hope to get into a position of sales, and whether that be some form of pre-sales, we're hoping for, that would be in Q3, and sales would continue obviously until sold. And construction is planned to also start around the same period before the end of year. We've identified it as Q3 at this point.
Thank you. Any further questions from council? Go ahead, Councillor Anderson.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Obviously, there's been some, discontent over this proposal. Is there any way we can show the proposed plan on this Zoom channel?
Everything is attached to this, what you received in your package, Councillor Anderson. What we're doing here, I guess maybe just a little bit of an overview. What we're doing here is rezoning that area from institutional to R1 for residential. And in doing so, we're also, we have identified parks, a couple parks areas and trying to maintain the trail system in there. So, so our first step, not necessarily if we can't afford to develop this or something goes sideways, council's direction was still to make this area residential, to do infilling because it is substantially less cost with all the existing infrastructure in place. So, but before we do develop, we will be presenting to our residents what that will look like, what the plan looks like. In this case, you see what the area looks like. And I think it's, you can, I don't know, maybe if I can't move this thing, but if everybody reviewed it, it's pretty clear. So the first step is in rezoning this, and council had decided that this is what we wanted to do, that we wanted to ensure that the cheapest way to develop quickly and economically was to infill in this particular area. So that when we go to public consultation, yeah, absolutely. And I made a commitment personally when we had people come to council requesting that with their concerns, that there would be full consultation process. So, and I still stand behind that, and we will be going out to the residents of this community to ensure that everybody is aware of what this is going to look like and what the impact is on the area. Any further questions? None being noted. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, item 7B, Recreation Committee Appointment Report. I need a motion. Go ahead, Councillor Dewey. Oh, just 1 second, Councillor Dewey. I guess, Councillor Anderson, there is a copy of what the, or a preliminary drawing of what it would look like, the Fraser Place area. So as you can see, there is green space all around it. Okay, so moving on to 7B, go ahead, Councillor Dewey.
Thank you, Worship. I'll move the recommendation that the Council of Town of Hay River appoints the following individuals: Amy Burt, Ray Levesque, and Christy Schwartz to serve as members of the Recreation Committee for the remainder of the current term ending on December 31st, 2021.
Thank you. Looking for somebody to second the motion. Councillor Dufert, go ahead. Or sorry, thank you. Any questions to the motion? None being noted, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 7C, appointment of auditors report. Need a motion. Go ahead, Councillor Dufert.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the recommendation that the Council of the Town of Hay River appoints the firm of Ashton Chartered Accountants to perform the audit of the Town of Hay River for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Willows. Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Item 7D, additional information for second reading of the rezoning of 218 Miron Drive. Looking for a motion. Councillor Dufert, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move the recommendation of additional information for second reading of the rezoning of 218 Miron Drive, Lot 1683, Plan 2830, from C2 Highway Service Commercial to R2 Mile 5 Residential.
Okay. Are you reading what's on the screen?
Yes, I read the wrong thing. Let me start. Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the recommendation that the Council of the Town of Hay River accept this report regarding the rezoning of Lot 1683, Plan 2830, number 218 Miron Drive.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Willows. Any questions to the motion? None being noted, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Item 7E, additional information for second reading of the rezoning of number 6 Old Town lots. or for the 6 Old Town lot, sorry. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Worship. I move the Council of Town of Haver accepts this report regarding rezoning of the Old Town lots described as lots 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, Block H Plan 2668, and Lot 25, Block H Plan 4688.
Thank you. Any question? Oh, seconded by Councillor Willows. Any questions to the motion? Oh, go ahead. SAO Smith, you have a comment?
Thank you, Worship. Just minor, but I believe it was read as Plan 2668 instead of 4668 in the motion.
Okay, yeah. So Deputy Mayor, you're good with it's 4668?
Yep, sounds good. If I read it wrong, I
Thank you.
apologize.
No, it's okay. It's catching tonight. I need a seconder to that motion.
Must be this new vaccine I got.
Yeah, Councillor
Me too.
Dufert. Thank you, Councillor Dufert. Any questions to the motion? None noted, all in favor? Thank you, motion carries. 7F, update to proposed bylaw 2422. Looking for a motion. Go ahead, Councillor Dufert.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the recommendation that the Council of the Town of Hay River accepts the update to proposed bylaw number 2422, snow removal bylaw report to council.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Groenewegen. Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Item 7G, update to the proposed amendment to bylaw 2240. Looking for a motion. Councillor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. Move the recommendation that the Council of the Town of River accepts the report to Council titled Update of the Proposed Amendment to Bylaw Number 2240, Management and Excluded Personnel Employment.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Dufert. Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. 7H, excused absence for Councillor Chambers. Councillor Dowie?
Thank you, Worship. I'll move that Council of Town of Hay River excuse Councillor Chambers from the regular meeting of Council January 25th, 2021.
Thank you. I need a seconder to the motion. Councillor Groenewegen. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, number 8, bylaws. 8A, bylaw 1812, Z zoning and building amendment, first reading. Looking for a motion. Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
I'll move first reading of bylaw 1812 Z zoning and building amendment.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Willows. Any questions to the motion? None noted. All in favor? Thank you. First reading. Okay, 8B, bylaw 2252, finance and administration bylaw, and this is our third and final reading. Looking for a motion. Go ahead, Councillor Dowie.
Your Worship, I'll move third and final reading of bylaw number 2252.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Willows. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. 8D, bylaw 1812X, zoning and building amendment. This is second reading. Looking for a motion.
Did you miss one?
Mayor Jameson, you forgot C.
Sorry. Bylaw 2422, snow, isn't that what we just did? So it wasn't snow removal? Right? Okay.
We have financial administration.
Oh, Finance Administration, sorry, B. Bylaw 2252? We're on bylaw
That's one we just,
22. Okay. Looking for a motion for third and final on 2422 snow removal. Go ahead, Councillor Dufert, seconded by Councillor Willows.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move third and final reading of bylaw number 2422, snow removal bylaw.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. I didn't even get my my vaccine yet and I'm skipping. Okay. So 8D, bylaw 1812X, zoning and building amendment. We're looking for second reading. Need a motion. Deputy Mayor and Councillor Dowie seconded. Thank you. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I'll move second reading of bylaw 1812X, zoning and building amendment.
Thank you. Any questions, guys? On this one? Nothing noted. All in favor? Perfect. Thank you. 8E is bylaw number 1812Y, zoning and building amendments, and we're looking for second reading on this one as well. Need a motion. Councillor Dowie?
Thanks, Your Worship. I'll move second reading on bylaw number 1812Y.
Thank you. That was seconded by Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. 8F, bylaw number 2240, management bylaw, looking for third and final reading. Need a motion. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I'll move third and final reading of bylaw 2240, management bylaw.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Dofert. Awesome. Any questions? None being noted. All in favor? Motion carries. Thanks, guys. Item number 9 is in camera. So I'm going to, looking for a motion. Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Willows. All in favor? Okay, I'm going to ask you to unmute and I will go for everyone one by one. Asking you each, do you solemnly swear and sincerely affirm that you are alone and cannot be overheard well in camera? Councillor Anderson?
I do so, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Willows?
I swear.
Thank you. Councillor Dowie?
Thank you, Your Worship, I swear.
Deputy Mayor Bouchard?
I do swear.
Thank you. Councillor Dufert?
Thank you, Your Worship. I swear.
Councillor Grunewagen?
I swear.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank our directors and everybody for coming out tonight. And we will reconvene at, I'll give you 5 minutes. How about 7:18? Give everybody a quick 5 minutes and we'll see you all back here again. Thanks.
Mike, can you stick around for this one?